Hi, I'm Jeff Schmidt with Southwest Chamber Music, and our next concert is Saturday night, April 26th at the Norton Simon Museum, and Monday night, April 28th at the Colburn School of Performing Arts. And for our final concert of this year, we're playing a very interesting arrangement from the 1920s and the Society for Private Performances in Vienna that was founded by Arnold Schoenberg. It's an arrangement by his pupil Erwin Stein of the Fourth Symphony of Gustav Mahler. So it's a fascinating opportunity to hear a really different world view of the Mahler symphonies. And I'm joined here by my friend and one of our board members, Randy Schoenberg, whose grandfather founded this series of private performances in Vienna. And Randy, I'm wondering if you just might say a few things about this society and Mahler's role in new music at the turn of the century.
Sure. Obviously, I wasn't there. My grandfather formed the Society for Private Performances of Music shortly after World War I, and it was a private society, sort of like a club, that put on concerts just for subscribers. There were a couple interesting features. The programs were not announced in advance, so you didn't know what you were going to hear when you arrived. And also they didn't allow critics in to the concert. So it really was a private club, basically, that took subscriptions, and that's how they funded it. And then my grandfather and his pupils would put together these concerts, and the purpose of it was to play music that otherwise would not be heard by anybody in Vienna because maybe of the large forces involved. So they would take symphonies, for example, of Gustav Mahler that weren't very popular at that time, weren't being performed, and they would reduce them. So they would be performable by a small group of musicians or perhaps a couple of pianos, and they would then perform these full symphonies with reduced forces for their private audience.
I think also it's important to notice too that these aren't really arrangements in kind of a simplistic way, but they're really almost recompositions. And you get a chance through a new orchestration of piano, four hands, harmonium, a small complement of single strings, and three woodwinds with the Mahler Fourth, to hear the symphony in a very kind of, I mean, when I listen to these arrangements, they make me think of how difficult it was in the right after Mahler's death to hear his music, and you have this real, they almost have a sense of discovery, and then also in one sense it's kind of, there's a certain sadness to these arrangements too, because there was a lot of anti-Semitism that was being directed at Mahler in particular. I'm wondering if you've got any insights into that kind of dark side of that era.
Well, I think my grandfather wrote that, certainly in terms of anti-Semitism, that he first really was confronted with it in the Army when he was drafted into the Army in World War I, and saw, I guess, when he went with his Army troop, although he didn't see active duty, some of the anti-Semitism that was around, even outside Vienna. But I think really the purpose of this society was to look beyond even national differences and promote music, whether it was German and Austrian music of people who they considered masters, but yet were not yet in the repertoire, like Mahler or Reger or Bruckner. And then also, though, to include music of French musicians, for example.
Yeah, I know. Darius Milhaud and Maurice Ravel and Francis Poulenc all went to Vienna for performances, which was pretty far-reaching in those days. The First World War had cut Vienna off from a lot of artistic information, and so Schoenberg was very interested in bringing everybody up to date. It's kind of what I look about the variety is that it was kind of like the world's first modern music group.
Yeah, and they played Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky and Bartok and people who you wouldn't necessarily associate with my grandfather. And I think it should be noted that my grandfather didn't allow the musicians to perform his own music until well into the Freien programs. It was mainly designed so they could hear other people's music.
So I hope you'll make your plans and come to our performances of the Fourth Symphony of Mahler, arranged by Erwin Stein, at the end of April on the 26th or 28th. You can find out more information on our website. Thanks very much.